Are you being led by the hype of social media? Are you living a lifestyle that's beyond your means because everybody else is doing it? Or do you actually have these facilities? And if you do actually, if you're earning well and XYZ, would you be at the same place in 25 years?
Welcome back to the Ideal Home Show YouTube channel. Today, I am back with the founder of MoneymatiX. It is Tynah Matembe, explaining how we can identify and overcome the big money giants that might be holding us back. So whether that's loans or the illusion of wealth, and to learn all about her brand new book, which I'm so excited to hear about because I think it's going to teach us all a thing or two and how we can reach financial freedom. So Tynah, thank you once again for being here with us. How are you doing?
I'm good. Lovely to be back with you, Louise.
Oh, always. I mean, our last chat was so insightful. I definitely sort of went away and just made sure I was still on top of things. I think we were talking about a 70% spending of your earnings, and at that just is such a fantastic takeaway from the episode. So thank you for that. Not seen it, go and check it out. It's on the Ideal Home Show YouTube channel. Anyway, right, we're here to talk about your new book and everything that's going on. Please tell us a bit about it before we delve into the details.
Yeah, for sure. It's been 16 years in the writing this book. All my experiences bundled up in one book, moving here, coming from wealth to literally becoming financially vulnerable in what is not so much overnight, but really within a couple of years, and just how I dug myself out of that hole, the lessons I've learned, the giants I faced, the money giants I faced, and how I overcame them, and how everyone else can use the same tools to conquer their financial giants or the big bears in their lives around money.
Yeah, amazing. And the book is called
Conquer Your Financial Giants.
We keep it nice and simple. That's what we like. Nice and easy to find.
Yes.
Brilliant. So let's start with a nice, I guess, quite a basic question for the book. When you talk about financial giants, what do you mean?
I mean everything that's holding you back with your money, the problems you face when you're coming out of money, whether it's something, in my case, was coming from wealth to not having. That was such a big thing, being broke in a new world. And then mindset, like just how you go from a broke mindset to a wealthy mindset. And then another big one is, the double life of debt. I had always seen debt as something that was terrible, that was bad, frowned upon. But I came here, and actually in the UK, it's something that you can use to build a life, and how you go from that mindset of debt being a bad thing to being a good thing. And then there's things like investment. You never see yourself as an investor. Conquering that giant, how do you go about doing that? And there's lots of others, how you slay these giants that are holding you back from your actual potential of financial wealth and freedom.
Brilliant. And just for anyone who may not have seen your first, the two previous interviews we've done with you, your journey was coming from Uganda, where you had wealth, to the UK, where everything shifted, and suddenly you didn't, and you were living within that poverty, and then you swapped it all around again, and now you're doing so if you've not seen either of those two interviews, do go and check them out, because your journey is incredible and it's such an inspiration for anyone who might be stuck in their own journey towards financial freedom. So go and check them out. So for yourself then, which was I've got a feeling I know the answer to this, but it might just be what you've just mentioned, but which was one of the sort of the first giant that you faced?
Being broke in a new country.
Yes. I thought that might be the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, trying to understand, one, what the economy looked like, going from cash to debt being this thing, credit history, and having no network, having nobody at all to rely on that could vouch for us. That was such a big giant. And understanding how to speak in a way that anyone would understand what I was saying at all. And just getting on top of my money from that point of view, that has to be the biggest mindset shift that I needed to work through.
Yeah. And it's something that, I guess, if you've lived in one country your whole life, you don't even think about, because you're so used to the terminologies and the colloquialisms and whatever that might be, that it's only when you're faced with it that you go, whoa. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. For nearly 25 years, Cox & Cox have been helping people fall in love with their homes with beautifully crafted furniture and accessories you won't find anywhere else. Their buyers travel the world to bring you original designs, always with an eye for quality and enduring style. From freestanding kitchen units and made-to-order sofas to statement lighting, storage and accessories, their offering captures each new season with a timeless aesthetic and effortless style. Every piece is handpicked with care for a collection that is curated for design lovers by design lovers. The English rustic trend is an evocative and layered look with eclectic accessories and furniture full of texture and character. It features colour in deeper tones with embroidered and printed textiles and natural materials reminiscent of cosy cottages and homely farmhouse style. And when it comes to Christmas, Cox & Cox is the place where festive dreams begin. Their eagerly anticipated festive trends are a highlight of the season, bringing together everything you need from show-stopping faux trees, baubles and lights to Christmas liners and gift wrap. So whether you want a serene, nature-inspired festive decor, a little retro glamour, or a fun, classic, nostalgic family Christmas, Cox & Cox have a trend to match your style. Click the link in the description below to create a home you love to be in with Cox & Cox. So let's talk about one that you've mentioned already, the loan giant. Why is it so dangerous?
So debt is a double-edged sword. It really is. It really is. If you're not on top of it and you don't understand your money, it can be one of the biggest ways to get out. In terms of mindset, first of all, it can be such a big burden on yourself if you're in problem debt. And problem debt is when your finances, the money that you've borrowed is more than the amount of money you have. So your obligations exceed the amount of income you're making. That is a terrible thing, and it can be really bad for your mental health, for families. I've seen people divorcing over things, like debt, but also generally the fact that you're just not living your optimal life. So debt can be a terrible, terrible thing. Also, where you borrow from can be a big challenge. If you borrowed from a loan shark or you have very bad terms, that can just be terrible. And that's one side of debt. The other side of it, though, is people use debt to accumulate wealth. And so it just becomes this double-edged sword. Or in my case, the first realization that I needed to have debt if I was ever going to get a good credit history. I was being told you don't have a credit card, so we don't know what you're like with money. And it was just like, wait, what? Is that actually a thing? Yeah. And so trying to understand both sides of debt and looking at where you sit in terms of your character and whether you should lean towards using debt as a tool or avoiding debt as a menace for yourself.
Yeah. But if you don't understand it, then you can't even begin to navigate that. So yeah, the understanding, as you said first, is so crucial.
Yes.
Another one of the giants you mentioned there was the illusion, the dream giant, I guess. So I think that sounds really intriguing. Can you explain it a bit more? So what do we mean by sort of that illusion giant?
So it's interesting. It's none of those at all. But illusion is just that you are living in a false economy, right? You think you know what you're doing. You think you've got it all, but you've actually not. So when I moved here, we moved here with a lot of cash, a whole lot of cash, enough cash to cause an investigation on anti-money laundering that we got under quite quickly. Wow. And the illusion in that is the fact that it can fizzle out in minutes. Within 2 years, we had none of that money left. We had come with so much money. We thought we could, we were going to own the world and we're going to live the same lifestyle we'd always lived. And within 2 years, we had not a penny to our names. So that illusion of not knowing, not having an actual grasp on your money can be a big deal. And how you overcome that, how you understand what's real and what's not. Are you being led by the hype of social media? Are you living a lifestyle that's beyond your means because everybody else is doing it? Or do you actually have these facilities? And if you do actually, if you're earning well and XYZ, would you be at the same place in 25 years? So it's very interesting, the things that we think we have that we don't. Or it's, I mean, another exercise you could do is to ask from your own perspective how you see yourself and how others see you are two different things. So which one is the illusion? Is it the way you see yourself, or is it the way others see you? And how does that relate to your money?
Yes, because obviously, yeah. That's such a good way of looking at it, because of course you want the illusion to not be you, right?
Yes.
And that's the scary part.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
so are there any, I know you've touched on a couple already, but are there any hidden giants that people don't really realize that they're battling?
Yes, I think that the biggest one that I think we've spoken about even in another episode is where are you at? What's your wealth? What's your net wealth? Understanding that number and from your own point of view. And then another big thing that we never think about is being alone. I found that so crazy when we moved here and there was just no sounding board because the people back home that I had left there don't understand what you're talking about. You're talking about credit, which there is from. It's just you're living a different life. And so if you're trying to seek financial freedom alone, it's such a lonely place. And it's one of the biggest giants that we underestimate. It's not even the money, the lack of the money. It's just that loneliness, feeling like you're drowning in debt and you are alone. Nobody else can come to your rescue. And so you don't ever find your way out of the hole that you're digging yourself. I think that's the biggest thing that I realized that no, I needed to have a mastermind around myself, whether that was in terms of resources or education, or you need something to make you not feel alone on your journey to wealth.
Yeah. So when you describe it, it seems so obvious, I guess, but when you're in it, you don't. And especially in UK culture, we just don't talk about money. It's not something, it's always frowned upon to talk about money. It's rude, it's
Yes.
polite to ask, but actually it can be life-changing. So yeah, don't be alone.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier, very, very briefly, just sort of in a conversation about investing, how this again is quite a scary thing because it's not something we're taught about at school unless you're going into finance. So how on earth do you decide when it's the right time to start investing, and how do we do it?
That's a very interesting question because I have an interesting story for you. When I first opened my first investment account, it took me over a year to trade on it. I just opened the account and I got cold feet. I was like, I've not just built up all my savings to now come and squander it in, and what even is investing, But back to that lone giant, the biggest thing I did was I created a mastermind. Got another couple that were friends of ours that we sort of understood each other and were like, listen, guys, have you invested before? No, you've not. We've not either. Why don't we do this together? So opened a joint account and did it that way, educated ourselves and got on that journey. But it's that cold feet moment of, my gosh, what even is an investment, right? So I always say the first tool everyone needs is education. Educate yourself, take in as much information as possible, make sure it's reliable and tested. Understand your risk appetite. How much money are you willing to lose? Because investments can go either way.
Yeah.
And then dip your toe in. Decide what number it is you're willing to lose, whether it's a tenner or £100, whatever the amount is, and then dip your toe and then build that way. That's one thing I say a lot. And if you can get a mastermind around you, don't go it alone, especially the first time.
Yeah, and I mean, I was going to ask a little bit more about that doing it alone. If you don't have friends like you did who wanted to get involved, is there anyone else or anything else we can turn to make sure that we're not investing but alone?
Absolutely. The very interesting thing this in the world of social media, again, back to the double-edged sword, one of the amazing things about the era we're in now is that you can educate yourself really easily. So finding the right channels, certified channels, of course, that are reliable information, because reliability is a big thing. But I always say to people, your mentors don't have to be real life mentors. Find a speaker or someone that does investment guidance and make them your mentor. What's their take on this point? What's their take on stocks? What's their take on ISAs, educate yourself that way. So find mentors, and they don't have to be in person. And then where possible, if these people are running courses or in-person events, go out there, go and network, because you're likely to find at a money event, if you attended an investment seminar, you're likely to find other people who are on an investment journey. Go for a coffee, and that's how you build up from scratch. When we moved to Scotland, we didn't know a single person, not one person.
We're only talking about money. There's a whole other side, social side as well, that rebuilding from. It's yeah, wow, your journey is incredible.
Absolutely. So you just learn, you understand what you don't have at your disposal. If it's a network, then YouTube becomes your mentor. You make sure you verify the information. You find an in-person seminar. You go to the bank. I always say to people, you go to the bank and you ask these questions, and then you start building up that way. Your mentors don't have to be in person, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, brilliant. And like you said, social media is a double-edged sword. For all its faults, it does have such incredible positives as well. So you mentioned social media, you mentioned sort of education and educating yourself as much as possible, going into banks and asking people. Are there any other sort of systems or tools that we can use to get financially educated or resilient, financially resilient?
The interesting one that we all have and we don't use is the practical bits of it. Education and everything is fine, but we must put in practice. So you must decide an amount of money that you're going to follow through. So if, for example, you're thinking, I want to start investing, give yourself a deadline. That's your biggest tools are your timelines and your knowledge of yourself. You're going to learn something for a week, make sure you practice it. How much money are you going to put into your first investment? If you're learning about the FTSE, how much are you willing to put into it? And then do that the next week. Another good thing about investing that you can do is there are so many dummy accounts. So before you go live and put your own money, try out dummy accounts where you're given a small amount of virtual money to try and put into stocks and shares or whatever it is.
Brilliant.
Yes, you can. There's lots of them, and they're free of charge usually for a month or a week or so. Try them. Cancel your subscription afterwards, try another one until you feel ready to dip your toe into it yourself.
Awesome. I had no idea they were a thing. What great advice.
Absolutely, they are a thing.
So when it comes to, I know sort of we've gone into quite a bit of detail there about little things that your book then explores much more detail in. How else can the book or MoneymatiX in general, your business there, help people overcome these giants?
Yeah, we have two main programs that we run. One, we have the book is hopefully going to help pack in a lot of tips and tools from a practical point of view, because that's one thing why I say it's a book that's been in the making for 16 years, because it's literally my journey and practical tips on how I've overcome all these things myself. We run two big programs. One is a youth money camp, because we're big on young people learning about money. In fact, my business was inspired when I had my baby, and I was like, there is no way I'm raising this child in poverty. I wanted her to have everything that I had. And that's what inspired my business journey. But the other thing we do is called Girl Money Gigs. We have a lot of free resources. We run webinars and masterclasses, free for women. We bring on an expert. We've been talking about investment. We've had investors on, and we come on and talk about, we break it down. How do we practically get our hands dirty, get investing? How do we save for our pension? How do we get ourselves onto that wealth journey? So sign up to go on our website, MoneymatiX.com, which is money, and then MATIX, MONEYMATIX, and sign up for one of our webinars or masterclasses. And of course, buy the book, and we'll connect that way.
And we'll put all the links along with your socials and everything down at the bottom, because we're talking about finding yourself a money mentor.
Absolutely.
Just saying. So just to wrap up then, if there was one giant that you would recommend that people can go away and get over or slay, I guess, this month with one action, what would that be?
I'd have to say your debt giant. It's a double-edged sword. What side of the sword are you on, and how are you going to take that information and use it for your financial future?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Tynah, thank you so much. You are brilliant, and thank you for doing everything you're doing, because it's, especially for the younger generations, it's taken No, I'm in my late 30s now. I understand where I am now. I wish I'd known 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So thank you for doing what you're doing. So do give Tynah a follow. We've got all the links down there. Do comment as well, the giants that you've slain or ones that you're working towards, what your dreams are. And of course, buy the book. Link below. Tynah, thank you. You can also connect with you on Instagram. What's your handle?
At MoneymatiX or Tynah Matembe. Either one works.
Easy.
Thank you for having
Easy
me,
to find.
Louise, and the
Not
team.
at all. Absolute pleasure. Do like, subscribe, and don't forget to go and check out Tynah's full story on our other interviews right here on the Ideal Home Shows YouTube channel. And we'll see you very soon. Thanks so much.